Hey, and welcome to Sunday. I'm glad you're with us here today for another live show. We're going to get into some pictures that people sent in just a moment. First, a shout out to CanadaDrives.ca. If you're looking for a used car, that's where you go in Canada. You do the whole thing online. You purchase the car, you get the financing, and then they deliver it to you in a covered trailer. Sometimes the same day, sometimes the next day. So that's very cool. CanadaDrives.ca. And Car Cost Canada is the opposite. If you're looking for brand new, that's where you find out what the dealer paid for the car. So when you go shopping, you are armed with that very important information. I mean, any break you can get on a new car these days is definitely worth it. So that's CarCostCanada.com. All right. Before we get into pictures, some interesting information I found out that the two main countries that supply neon, you think of neon signs, right, are Ukraine and Russia. Ukraine and Russia are the majority suppliers of neon. And apparently neon is used in lasers. And lasers make microchips. So because of the war going on right now between Russia and the Ukraine, the supply of neon is restricted. That's going to affect lasers that cut microchips. I'm just reading this on Automotive News. So 90% of the neon comes from that part of the world. On top of that, Ukraine is a major supplier of wiring looms. So those are the wiring harnesses that are made, custom made for each and every car. And the wiring looms that they make in Ukraine feed mostly the German car industry. So Volkswagen, Audi, Bentley, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. So you think that the problems we have now with the chip shortage are something to deal with. Now you layer on top of that major slowdowns as these car companies try to shift and find other part suppliers that can supply these highly specific wiring looms for each car. So that's going on in the world right now. What else is going on with the channel? Well, the EV6 video dropped yesterday, and we're going to drop the Ioniq 5 video. We've already done one that we did in December. This is our kind of living with it for a week video, so that's coming out on Wednesday. And because we have the two Korean cousin electric cars, we're going to do a comparison of those, and that's what's coming up this week. All right, let's get into some pictures before we get in. Oh, by the way, let me know. I think I fixed the popping noise that was happening before. Let me know in the comments. I think I fixed it. Figured it out. Let's get into it. See if anybody's... So if anybody could let me know, is everything coming through loud and clear? You getting all the audio and everything? That's what I want to know. All right. Some pictures. The first one is... This is from Lucas, who sent in a picture of his Accord Coupe V6. That's a cool car. I remember driving a manual version of that car. The next picture comes from the UK. I love the license plate and the Union Jacks there. This is from Clive, 2019 Mini. And he has another nighttime shot of the Mini. That's with the puddle lights there and all lit up. This is his wife's car, and he said he used it during the energy shortage that they had in the UK the last few months. Remember, they had people lining up for hours trying to find gasoline. And there's another Accord. This is from Khalid, 2019 Accord Turbo. I wonder if it's an automatic. He didn't say whether it was an automatic or a manual, but that was cool because they actually made that car with a manual transmission, and it's now gone. No popping, Julie says. Awesome. Everybody seems to... The popping noise is fixed. Well, thank you very much. So I found out on this program that lets me put the script on the screen that there's a sound effects button that apparently wasn't muted. So hopefully that's all good. All right. So we soldier on. The first one is from Carter. Hi, Zach. When you hop into the back seat in your videos, are the front seats adjusted to your settings? For my reference, are you exactly 6 feet? EV6 looks huge. Yes, so the car that that I'm shooting, I drove to shoot what I call shoot it out. But the problem is sometimes I shoot from the driver's side to the passenger side. So it depends which side of the car I'm getting in, right? So what I do though, this is one thing I will say that I do. So when I adjust the passenger seat to make it look realistic, I line the driver's seat and the passenger seat up at the same spot. So the answer to your question is yes, both of the seats are set for my height and my driving position. So if you saw that in the EV6, it has an enormous amount of legroom. Very low in the headroom, but enormous. And yes, I'm just a hair under 6 feet tall. If I stand up straight. There you go. Here's Ben. I just ran into Ben a couple hours ago. We were at Canadian Tire. I was getting some lime for my grass. Ben Mizrahi. We were talking about a French car that has padding on the doors. And he's come back and said it's a Citroen C4 Cactus. Nice chatting with you today. Ben from the East. See what I did there, Ben? Ben's tall. Talk about tall. I think he's like 6'5". He's a big guy. Any more Tesla videos coming up? Would love to see a Model 3 review. The problem we have is there's no press vehicle pool for us to use. It's interesting because we had Lucid Air reach out to us. They have a studio here in Vancouver. They have a studio they've just opened up in Toronto, in Yorkville Shopping Center, and they're opening up one in Quebec as well, in Montreal. But they reached out and asked us to come down and look at the car, which is spectacular to look at, and we're going to hopefully get a chance to drive it in the next few weeks. But that's the big difference. Lucid Air actually has a PR department, actually has people that want to talk to you about their product, actually are going to loan us a car to drive. Tesla, they don't even have a PR department. So our problem is we have to borrow a car from somebody. So yes, there you go. And Rick lent us his Model Y a few months ago, and that's why we got that car. Hey, Zach, I'm thinking of buying a new car. Should I buy now or wait till the chip shortage and other supply chain issues gets better because car prices might become cheaper by then? Well, it's not that I don't think cars are going to get cheaper. Let me just adjust here. I don't think cars are going to get cheaper. But what there could be is more competition in the marketplace. Right now, car companies car companies actually, even though they haven't had a lot of inventory, and in some cases they've had major shortages, the parent companies have actually made quite a bit of money because they don't have to put incentives on the hood of the car to move them. You would see often there's a $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 discount on a car. Then they reduce the interest rates. You can get 0% interest, $3,000 off, all that kind of stuff that you would see advertised on TV and magazines, on newspapers, online, all that kind of stuff is gone. These car companies do not have to put money on the hood to get you to buy. So when inventories are replenished, when there's more capacities for factories to make cars, when all the backfilled orders are completed, all the pre-orders are backfilled, then we have real supply in the system, then somebody's going to have too many of something. And they're going to have to put money on the hood. And once money's on the hood from one brand, others will follow suit. So my advice is, for anybody that is in the idea of getting a new car, do you really need it? Like, is your car really clapped out and you just can't drive it anymore and it's going to have a huge repair bill to keep it running? Then maybe consider buying a new car. But most people are driving a perfectly good car with a little bit of maintenance. You can get it to go another year, no problem, because cars that are on the road today are very well made. So if you're driving a car that's even 6, 7, 8, 10 years old, if you maintain it, it should run indefinitely. So this is not the time to be waiting in with everybody else shopping for a car. So my advice is, if you don't need a new car and you just want a new car, wait until exactly what you mentioned. There's more inventory. And there's competition for your dollars. Right now, there's no competition for your dollars. They do not have to compete. You see that even, we get a lot of people complain about Toyota's interest rates. So Toyota's a mainline brand. But you look at their calculator online for buying a car, their interest rates are quite high. There's no 0% interest there. There's no 1.9 or 2.9% interest. They're charging like around 6% interest. So that's when you will save money, is by all the incentives they put on the car. Sanjeeb is saying, I hope all is well. What's your opinion on the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado EV? It looks horrible to me. And the 2023 Cadillac Lyriq and 2023 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. I'm not sure what you're asking. I don't think the Chevrolet Silverado EV looks horrible. We have to wait until we see it in person. I kind of like the fact that it looks like a regular kind of pickup truck. It reminds me, what was the one that had the bed and the cab attached? Was that the Avalanche? The Avalanche the Avalanche had it all connected. That's what it looks like to me. It's the modern version of that. Can't wait to drive the Lyriq. Excited about the Lyriq. I'm really thinking, I'm hoping, because you know me, I've been talking about the fact that people crap all over the domestic brands and they can produce some very good products. One of the people that was at Lucid Air that we talked to, he's got a Mach-E. Of course, he can't get a Lucid yet, and is very, very happy with it. So the Mach-E owners seem to be quite happy. Hopefully, Lyriq is just as good as it looks. When is Acura releasing an EV vehicle? They seem late to the game. Just announced this week, Honda, obviously parent company of Acura, is heading into a partnership with Sony. And they will be producing cars starting in 2024. So Honda knows they've been behind the 8 ball on this, but now they're all in, and they're going to be bringing quite a few electric cars to the market. So we're hoping for, well, we know now that the CR-V is going to be coming later this year, the brand new CR-V. It's going to be produced in Canada, as it always has been. But what's been added to the production here in Canada for the CR-V is the addition of the hybrid. And the difference between the United States and Canada is in the US, you had a CR-V hybrid available to buy. In Canada, we never did. So this next generation is when they're going to add hybridization, thankfully, to CR-V sales in Canada, and then hopefully more vehicles like that. But yeah, they just announced this week that they're in a partnership with Sony to produce electric cars. So that should be interesting. JD is saying, hi, Zach, just filled tank in Surrey for $2.10 a liter regular. Glad my CX-5 takes just regular gas. I just took out my bike from the shed and dusted it off. That's funny. So in Canada right now, the price is very high for fuel, as it is all around the world because of, the fact that energy prices were already heading very high before the war broke out in Europe. So that works out to, at $2 a liter, that's roughly $7.25 per US gallon. So that's even higher. So let's just say it's $7.50 a gallon here in Vancouver for your car. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to, maybe commute a little, take transit, ride their bike, all those sorts of things. So yeah, very scary. So I had a bit of a Facebook argument with a guy who's really into the green space, talking about how why would anybody invest in oil companies? Because I basically was saying it's ridiculous that a country like Canada that has the third largest, and some people who are watching this might not know this, but the third largest oil reserve in the world is here in Canada. And the fact that we actually import oil, in my opinion, is ridiculous. But it's all because the green movement has throttled back exploration. They've throttled, certainly, the pipelines that we can't get built. And the fact that we import oil from Russia, from Venezuela, from Saudi Arabia, all those really nice people, thugs really, and we don't have a fully domestic oil industry that supplies gasoline to the whole country, in my opinion, is ridiculous. And the prices of gasoline before the war broke out were already very high because what's happened with the oil industry over the last few years, there's been less exploration, there's been less development of the resource, and then the economy roared back after COVID, or as we come out of COVID, faster than anybody realized. Therefore, we have supply constraint issues. Things are back ordered, but people are flying again. They're going to be booking vacations again. Cruise ships are starting up again. The shipping industry is just going flat out. So there's going to be a massive demand for more oil. And just when that happens, and prices were already shooting up, now we add in a conflict. And I think that, we we could be in for very high fuel prices for a while to come. But then a part of me says, everybody's outraged about what's happening in Europe. We see the pictures on TV and we're saying, how can this country drop bombs on civilians and cause all this hardship in a country that was just peacefully going about its business? So everybody is like, what can we do? Well, what we can do as the rest of the world is absorb higher prices and cut off Russia, in my opinion, from the oil market worldwide. So you landlock Russian oil, but that means that you and me and everybody else in the world has to pay more, not just for energy, for everything. Because as fuel prices go up, everything goes up. Your grocery bill, trucking prices, everything. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think that the world is not going to be buying Russian oil, and that means that all of us worldwide are going to have to pay the difference. Do you think it's worth it to get a replacement warranty offered by insurance company for a leased car? The company I contracted said it can be worth it if the car is totaled. Thanks. So a replacement warranty offered by insurance company for a leased car. So the thing is, what you're doing is you're basically buying extra insurance if the car is in an accident. They're going to give you your original total amount back. You've got to remember one thing about a leased car, though. The lease company is the one that absorbs the loss, not you. So if a car is written off, okay, you got to remember. So the piece of paper that you have signed is a lease. All you have bought from the lease company is the piece of paper. You have basically agreed to pay them to use the car for X number of months. The car is still owned by the lease company, not you. They own it. They lease it to you. What you own is the piece of paper, okay, and actually the ability to use the car. So if a car is written off, it is not on your shoulders. That's between the insurance company and the owner of the car, which is the lease company. So you paying for that as a leaseholder is really not worth it, because say you have we'll pick an Acura MDX at $50,000. You drive it for a year, someone T-bones you at an intersection, and they write the car off. Well, that check goes to the lease company, not to you, okay? They are the ones that own the car. So I would say it's not a good idea to buy that insurance. Randall, talk me off a ledge, Zach. Thinking of a Jaguar F-Pace SVR. Is there a better choice? What is it for the price? Well, it's a high-performance version of the F-Pace. So you've got the SUV with the high-performance power plant. So you are in a situation where you're buying a high-performance car from a brand that's not known for reliability. So if that's the case, why don't you get a real high-performance car from another brand that's not known for reliability? Get an Alfa Romeo Stelvio Quattrofoglio. That is a fantastic car. Now, if you want a great handling car with a fantastic engine that is absolutely blast to drive, and you're okay with questionable reliability, go get an Alfa Romeo. I think a way better car than a Jag. Nicer interior, hell of a car. And then if you're in that kind of space, but you want reliability, then get a Macan GTS. So they're all kind of similar, right? High-performance version of a compact utility. If you just wanted to go for the purest form of entertainment, get the Alfa Romeo. The Quattrofoglio, there's a video that Andrew and I did a couple of years ago. Loved it. Love driving an Alfa Romeo. Every time I see one, I think to myself, oh man, if I was in a job where I had to lease a car, I was in like sales or was out driving all the time, I'd have an Alfa. I would really seriously consider it. The Giulia's a great car, a really nice car. But you're in that whole world of what kind of reliability do you get? Let me just make sure I didn't miss any super chats. Oh, I did listen to super chats. Oh, there's super chats here. I better get to them. All right, I'll do John's first, okay? Hey, Zach, what do you think of the current EVs and their designs? I wish automakers would just take existing models and throw an EV drivetrain, leave everything else alone. What do you think? Well, I'm okay with them being kind of fun and different to a point, But certain things, you might, if you watch the videos we've done, I mean, I just want a regular door handle. I just want to have an interface on the inside that there's some switches and buttons for things we use all the time, like heated seats, heated steering wheel, stuff like that. Regular door handles on the inside and the outside. I don't mind, like for example, this Ioniq is just a kind of a traditional hatchback shape. The EV6 is more of a sleeker design. Audi seems to be going the more traditional route with their EVs, their SUVs, or more traditional SUVs, regular door handles, and the same exact interface on the inside you get with their other vehicles. So I think what we're going through right now is this futuristic, gotta show everybody you're driving an EV kind of time frame. But as the market becomes more mature, people are going to want what they've always wanted, and that's just, sturdy looking vehicles. People love the look of traditional SUVs, so we'll probably get back to that. All right, I missed some super chats here. All right, let's get back to it. My bad. I got talking about oil. My T-Bird. Is the EV rebate taxable, federal, provincial? Does the residual value of the vehicle include destination and AC excise tax? Oh my God, that's a loaded question. Is the EV rebate taxable? I don't know. You'd have to ask an accountant. I don't think so. Does the residual value, let me just ask again. Does the residual value of the vehicle include destination and AC? No, it does not. Residual value is MSRP before any kind of other fees and things that go onto it. Whether it's a taxable benefit, I really don't know. That's one for an accountant. But yeah, the whole EV rebate thing, like, listen, this car we drove is $62,000. If you can afford a $62,000 car, you don't need $5,000 from the feds to get this car. I think that's ridiculous. I really do. Hey, Zach, I'm a 62-year-old retired man from Quebec and loves driving, but also his money. Looking for a nimble all-wheel drive 40,000 max, 3-year rental SUV or not. 40,000 max you like to drive? I would say if you're wanting a sort of a fun kind of SUV, you're right on the edge of that, okay, with the Mazda CX-5 Turbo. It's right at 40 grand, okay? That would be the one I would choose. And the nice thing about this turbo is, so you've got the CX-5, which is quite tidy on the smaller side of the compact SUV class. It's got a turbocharged engine, runs on regular gas. There you go. So you can keep more of your money. That would be my choice, but it's right around that $40,000, okay? It used to be 39. I think they moved it up to right around 40. Broker by Josh. Hey, Zach, what are the top sedan and EV nobody's buying, luxury brand? Well, the big sedans nobody's buying. The big full-size luxury sedans. The 7 Series, the 8 the Audi A8, even the S-Class to a certain point. S-Class is a bigger baked-in buyer base. E-Class from Mercedes-Benz. They sell some of them, but the big full-size luxury sedans, Lincoln Continental, Nissan Maxima, the big cars. And it's too bad because nothing like driving a big car on a long road trip. They're wonderful. And in EVs, I would say the Mini, because the range is so low. I would say the Mazda MX-30, that new little Mazda electric vehicle. Not sure what the sales are on that. I would suspect not good because the range is so weak. What's another EV? The Jaguar I-Pace, probably, historically has sold terribly. So there might be some people looking at it now because they can get one. But those are just a few I can think of. Here's another super chat. Just made a reservation on a VinFast, the VF9. The battery leasing program covers 200,000 miles, but the mileage per month thing is up in the air. Excited to see a 3-row EV and more players in the market. So if you're not aware, VinFast is a Vietnamese electric car company that will be bringing their products to market. This year, they're going to be bringing, I believe it's a 2-row and a 3-row SUV. That's what our super chat was saying. So VinFast is a company it's one of the biggest industrial companies in Vietnam. And they have been making cars, I think it's off the top of my head, around five or so years in Vietnam. And what they've been doing is buying basically kits from BMW. So they buy the platform and the engines and all that from BMW, and then they build up their own exterior on the outside. So they've had that relationship with BMW. But these new full electric cars that they're coming to market with throughout North America are going to be exclusively their own technology. So VinFast is something you're going to hear more of as we head through to the fall. Vietnamese company, they're actually getting dealers to build stores, or they're going to be adding stores across North America, and they're serious about coming to the marketplace. Now, about the way this works. So you don't own the battery. They own the battery and you lease the battery. I have to do a little bit more research on exactly how it works, but it's basically you lease the battery from them, and it's a changeable battery. So if you know more about it, I'd like to hear what you have to say, but yeah, I'll have to do a little more digging on that. And we're all going to be hearing about VinFast over the next few years. So by the way, the Super Chat's a great way. If you just have to get a question answered, I can do that for you. Next one is Jason. Your thoughts on the GLA 35? I like the GLA 35. I'm a big fan of just the regular GLA. I just think it's just such a nice little small car at 228 horsepower is more than enough. It's a fun little car to drive, but if you want more power, yeah, the 35 is pretty good. The problem with some of the Mercedes-Benz AMG sort of engineered cars, they're still mainline cars, is I find their suspensions can be a little bit too firm. So it really depends on where you live. So if you live somewhere that has a lot of potholes, northeast of the United States, eastern Canada, so maybe try one before you buy it and consider the size of tire and wheel that you're going to get. But I think the regular one is fine. I mean, if you're a real speed demon, the 35, yeah, have at it. Hi, Zach. I see automotive news are warning of a second chip shortage because of Ukraine supplies, mostly of neon used in chip making. I mentioned that just a little while ago, Ben. If you weren't here at the beginning, I did mention that 90%, I wrote it down here, 90% of the neon used or produced comes from Ukraine, and the other part comes from Russia. And the neon is used in lasers to cut microchips. So put your seatbelt on. We're in for even more nonsense. Here's Jerome. About the chips all being made in Taiwan, wouldn't we just make them ourselves in North America and Europe instead of waiting for Taiwan's factories? Well, Jerome, there is chip manufacturing that has been started in North America. Because of this whole problem, there was a big push to perhaps have some kind of North American production. It's going to be in the United States, and it's already taken place. But from what I understand, reading about how chips are made, it takes a long time. You can't just pop up a warehouse and say we're in the chip game. It takes a long time for chip manufacturing to get up to speed, as long as 2 years. So it is coming. There was a fire at a Taiwanese factory. That is being rectified. New production is coming online, and domestic North American production is going to be coming online as well. The thing is, car companies, they make this mistake. You think they learn from the mistake, and then it comes around and bites them in the ass again. Perfect example is having certain part suppliers produce parts for all your cars. We saw that when Toyota had their acceleration problems a few years ago. Remember the mats were getting stuck under the accelerator? And there were people complaining they had runaway acceleration. Well, there was this throttle actuator that was supplied by one or two makers, and then they had to diversify and find other people to make it. Then there's Takata that makes the airbags that have all been recalled. And that's just one supplier that affects so many cars. Then you get the chip thing where most of them made in Southeast Asia. And now we have the wiring loom or the wiring harness for German cars that are almost all made in Ukraine. So the car companies have to diversify their parts supplier base, like they do with tires. I mean, you can go onto a lot and see a Volkswagen that's got Continentals and then Goodyears and then, you know, Pirelli or whatever. They diversify tire suppliers. They should do with other parts as well. King in the North. Put in an order for Tucson Hybrid based on your video. Nice. You're going to like it. Great little car. I think it's, I'm a big fan of hybrids. I really think that hybrids, in my opinion, are the way to go for most people. Lower barrier to entry. You don't have to spend a ton of money to go from a regular gas model to a hybrid. You start saving money right away. And with the price of fuel right now, the numbers can pile up quickly. You're not out there fighting with everybody else to get something with a plug on it. And then you can wait a year or two when there's way more availability of vehicles with plugs, make the switch then. All right, I think we got the super chats done. If anybody else has a super chat, I will pay more attention there and get at it. So somebody else wrote that they said that the EV rebate is not taxable. I just saw that in one of the comments. Got to find where it was. Sorry, it's like finding a needle in a haystack here. We'll stumble across it later. Sorry, guys. Okay, we have 342 on board right now, 344. Thumbs up would be awesome, guys. Really appreciate that when you support the channel. The super chats are always welcome. That supports the channel, gets your question answered. And away we go. I haven't really gotten through very many of these so far, have I? Wow. Sam, another question. What advice would you give a test drive of a new car you're looking at if there's no inventory available to look in your area? Well, this is a real problem. We're actually getting a lot of this feedback. People saying they're really relying on the reviews that we give because there's just not any car for them to drive. Now, dealers should hold back, one or two vehicles. They should have at least one car of their main line that they sell for you to test drive. Like if you go to a Toyota dealer, even though they have no inventory just now, they should at least have one RAV4 for you to drive. Unfortunately, like when you're getting into specifics, like you're going to go in and drive an Audi Q5, but you really want the SQ5, but they don't have an SQ5. So you're really, I don't really know what to say other than work with the dealers in your area and say to them, I really want to drive this car before I buy it, because I don't think it's like buying a pair of shoes without trying them on. I kind of get that. I think you really just got to work with them and say, hey, listen, I'd like to try one of your cars. Not sure what else you can do other than that, and rely on us to give you as honest opinion as we can. Julie, hey Julie, when driving on back roads in Ontario, I saw an F-150 Lightning. I thought you couldn't buy those yet. It could be what's called an integration car. That's an engineering car where they're doing some testing, and that could be it. And so that might have been just an engineering car, or early pre-production model that they're using for marketing purposes. But I wouldn't think they'd be doing any marketing with the weather not being nice. So yeah, it's probably an engineering car. I wish Honda would kill the Insight and put the hybrid powertrain in the new Civic. Of course. I want the Civic so much, but can't justify the price tag. Yeah, the problem with the Civic is that they don't have the cheap model anymore. But why not try the Insight? Because you want the new version of the Civic. I understand. Because the Insight, it's a shame. And I think we're going to see more of this when they can get the hybridization set up in the factory where they make the CRV. That's in Alliston, Ontario. It's a huge factory. So they make the CRV and they also make the Civic in the same factory. So once hybridization has been implemented for CRV at that factory, maybe, just maybe, they'll offer a hybrid version of Civic. That would be great. What's the ideal first car? The ideal first car is reliable and cheap to maintain, because when you start driving, you got no money. I'm a big fan of cars like a Civic or a Corolla. What's your thoughts on the Insight? It's due for a redesign refresh. How does it compare to the Elantra or the Corolla hybrids? The Corolla hybrid is a nicer version of the Prius. I think that it's is very good. The Elantra, I haven't driven the Elantra hybrid yet, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Insight is due for a refresh because it's running on the older platform. Hey Zach, can you compare Mazda CX-9 and the Toyota Highlander? So if you're not aware of it, we just did recently our top 5. I just put 4 up. Our top 5 mid-size 3-row SUV video. It went out about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So go back on the channel and go through the recent videos and you'll find it in there. And you'll see that we talked about all of these different products, including the CX-9 and the Highlander. So that's what I encourage you to do. Ricardo is saying, hello Zach, what type engine is better for an SUV? A diesel or hybrid? Greetings from Lima, Peru. Now Ricardo, you know we have a diesel SUV and I really truly believe that diesel is perfect for SUVs. Lots of torque, amazing get up and go, efficient at all speeds. Hybrids are really mostly efficient at city speeds. So you get the on and off between the gas and the electric at speeds below highway speeds is where you're most efficient. When you get on long distance highway speeds, the car is really not any more efficient than a regular gas model. So that's why I like diesels. Unfortunately, the diesel outlook in North America is terrible right now. All right, so I think we got another super chat here. I love the super chats. Steve is here. What improvements do you expect in batteries for EVs, and when would you consider buying one? We're kind of at a mature point right now with the existing battery technology. We're all waiting to see what Toyota has up its sleeve with its solid-state battery technology. So that's what we're kind of all waiting for. So battery technology, for example, Tesla and Lyric, for example, we were just at, we were at Lucid Air, not Lyric, Lucid Air on Saturday at their showroom in Vancouver. They have a cutaway of their battery pack, and it's all the individual sort of laptop batteries all strung together. That's the way they do it there. It's LG Chem, and those are all those individual battery cells strung together. Tesla uses the Samsung equivalent, and they string them together. Then they have other brands that use a larger single battery cell, and then they put several of those together. So I think we're kind of at the stage now with the lithium-ion battery technology where it's quite mature, so we're all waiting for solid state. I think that's what we're waiting for. Personally, for me with electric cars, I've said it before, I have not met the perfect EV yet. Like I want to get into an EV and go, wow, this is something I really like, and I would really like to get one. Because back to the point somebody made earlier, I don't want it to be all weird and quirky. I just want it to be a good car with not a cheap interior. I want it to have a nice interior. That's what I'm used to. I like nice cars. I want it to have a nice interior. I want it to have some conventional functionality with the interface and the switches and the door handles, that sort of stuff. That's what I want. I want good range, and I don't want to have to pay an absolute fortune for it. So the problem I have is I haven't met the perfect EV, and I certainly haven't met the perfect EV at the price I'm willing to pay. I always come back to the, example is, so what do most people buy? They buy a compact or a mid-size SUV. So the best-selling vehicle, passenger vehicle in Canada, for example, so F-150 on the truck side, but the next selling passenger vehicle is the RAV4. And the RAV4 is a perfect example. The gasoline model starts around $30,000 for all-wheel drive. The hybrid starts at $33,000, right? And then if you want a battery equivalent, it's going to be $45,000 to $50,000. So when we can get those battery vehicles at a size and a price that is going to be competitive with regular RAV4, now you got something. But to have this massive premium to get it, I don't quite get it. So by the way, I forgot to mention it. We have been invited to go and drive the new BZ4X or BZ4X from Toyota. So that's the full electric Toyota that looks like a RAV4, exactly what I'm asking for. But what's the price going to be? We're going to drive it in about 3 weeks, and then they'll divulge the price. My guess, it's going to be like every other EV. It ain't going to be cheap, and that's my big issue. Here's Scott. Hey, Scott, how's the Mustang holding up? Hi, Zach. Doing a fun, cool collectible this week. 81 Fahrenheit here today. Nice. Windows down, pipes blasting here in the north CAC, Scott. Yeah, he's got the Mustang out, enjoying life, 80 degrees. That sounds nice. It's a beautiful day here today. I was out wearing this in Vancouver, changing the wheels off our Cayenne. Took the winter wheels off, put the summer wheels on. I was sweating too. So yeah, it's a beautiful day here today. Sun is out, but not 80 degrees Fahrenheit, I'll tell you that. I think when he says North Carolina. There you go. Beautiful roads. My God. We were there, the Tail of the Dragon. We did this Mazda event, and it was through the Blue Ridge Mountains and the Smoky Mountains, all through that part of the world. The Carolinas and the Tail of the Dragon, all down through there. He would know that. Scott would know that. But yeah, great part of the world for a car enthusiast. All right, back up to the top we go. Yeah, so I think it's going to be exciting when that Toyota BZ4X or BZ4X hits the market this summer. It's going to be coming soon. Sorry, just trying to catch up where I was. All right, I found where I am. Here's David's question. Will VW bring a smaller ID3 to Canada? They are asking for it. Volkswagen Canada is asking for it. And my colleague David Booth did a great editorial recently for driving.ca in the National Post. And he broke down electric car adoption in Europe is way further ahead than it is here in North America. And it all came down to what people have available to buy, right? Back to my point just a moment ago. I haven't met the perfect EV yet. They're all, in my opinion, too expensive. Because we have this federal and provincial rebate set up in Canada, for example, that starts at $45,000. So that means the vehicle has to start under $45,000 in order to qualify to get a tax rebate. So $5,000 from the feds. Here in BC, it's $3,000. Quebec, I think it's $8,000. Is it $8,000 or $8,500? Can you imagine that much? No wonder they sell more EVs in Quebec. It's a huge amount of money. So what do all these car companies do? They bring on all their EVs and they start at $44,995, just under $45,000 to get the money from the feds and from the provincial rebates. And that just skews the market. In my opinion, it's a terrible setup. They shouldn't do that. They should let these car companies compete for your business. And when they do that, they get to compete on price. Right now, it's all set pricing. They all start at $44,995, and then they jack up the packages and the rates from there. And that's why I don't think any of them are really affordable. So the big difference that David found out when he looked at the analytics between North America and Europe is in the United States, it's about 2.5% nationally in the US EV adoption. Very low. Everybody thinks the roads are running over with Teslas. Yeah, in California. Yeah, in Seattle. Yeah, in Oregon. But you go outside of that, it's 2.5%. In Canada, it's about 4%. Because you have some big rebates in Quebec and here in British Columbia. So it's about 4%. Now, in those two provinces, the actual EV adoption rate is much higher because you have these incentives. But when you do it nationally, it's about 4%. In Europe, it's running about 20%. And the big reason is they offer a lot of inexpensive EVs, the kinds of cars Europeans buy. Small, little runarounds, easy to park. So the best-selling vehicle in Europe for decades was the Volkswagen Golf. So think of a Volkswagen Golf-sized car. That's what Europeans like to drive on the streets of Paris and Rome and London, because if you've ever driven in Paris or Rome or London, Parking anywhere is a joke. I mean, the spots are tiny, and you've got to maneuver them through these busy cities. So adoption of small electric cars by brands like Renault, Citroën, Peugeot, Volkswagen, and others, there's way more availability. Best-selling electric car in Europe is the ID.3. And the ID.3 is the same size as a Golf. Another really hot seller in the EV space in Europe is what's called the Volkswagen Up. Okay, so think of a Golf, and then smaller than a Golf is a Polo, and then smaller than a Polo is an Up. You've maybe never heard of a Volkswagen Up. Cute as a button little car, but they have an electric version of it. That's one of the best sellers because you know what? That's what people need to get around. So I would love it if we had some like Honda Fit-sized cars that were pure EVs and were relatively normally priced. I would argue that the Chevrolet Bolt is that car. That, in my opinion, is the best deal in the market. Now, GM had to screw it up and let them catch on fire. They've shut down production, and they're hopefully getting production back up and running here by April. But that was the car. $38,000 in Canada, $35,000 I think it was in the US. Nice little hatchback car, 400 kilometers of range, loads of fun to drive, easy to park, but now you can't get one. So there you go. All right, where are we here? See ya. Any thoughts on the upcoming CX-50, and do you think it might have more second row legroom than the CX-5? Well, Daniel, put your seatbelt on because we are going to drive it. Not this week, next week. The week of, like the middle of the month, around the 15th. We will have that vehicle, and we'll have a video on it shortly after. So we will let you know all about it. So a few more sleeps, and we'll let you know. Here's Eric from Montreal. Eric, have you got the 911 Turbo out of hibernation yet? Probably a little too early for Montreal. What would you suggest as an alternative to a second-hand Audi A3 e-tron? Looking for a plug-in hybrid for my sister. Surprisingly few options for cars. Crosstrek was another I had in mind. So a plug-in car, I'm trying to think now. So you could get an Outlander. But if you want a car, just trying to think a plug-in. Well, then an Audi A3 is one. A Prius Prime. I know it's ugly, but, you know, proven bulletproof technology. You know, considering, Eric, what a Prius Prime costs, I think a Prius Prime brand new is around $32,000 or $33,000. You know, you get EV range, and then when the EV range is done, it goes right back to being an ultra efficient Prius. My brother is a regular Prius, and he gets amazing fuel economy out of it. So think about that. That's one to think about. .401 West Homes, confused, Kia EV6 or Tucson Hybrid? You know, my answer right now with this market is just the first one you can get. So say to the Kia dealer and the Hyundai dealer, when one comes in, let me know. And when they let you know, buy that one. That's probably the best thing to do. Adam, how is being stuck in traffic for hours in 1 or 100 degree weather calculated into EV range? I don't know how the actual EV range, well, they do have testing cycles for it. The European cycle is much more generous than the EPA cycle, but they do have temperatures that they test in. So, for example, with regular gasoline cars, they have a 5-cycle test. So they have a cold test. They have a test when the car is going up a hill. Air conditioning is implemented. Another one with hills, and another one at highway speeds and fast acceleration. So they have a range that they do it with. Did you retire from barbecue? All the best to you and Andrea and Jack. I didn't retire from the barbecue. Actually, my son Charlie, my youngest, he's now a grill master. He's learning to grill. Out of all the driver's assist features, which do you think is a must-have for commuters? The Bolt EUV can now come with GM Super Cruise, and that's true. I'd love to see more affordable commuter cars with similar things. So a lot of people talk about the autonomous vehicle and who's kind of got the lead. The reality is General Motors has the lead right now with the Super Cruise. I have used it with the Cadillac a few years ago. I drove from Vancouver all the way down to Seattle, which is about a 2-hour drive on the I-5. Granted, it was all on interstates, and I didn't touch the wheel pretty much the whole time, to change lanes and then change back. But I sat there drinking my coffee, and it was weird. But after a while, I got used to it. So really good technology. So Tesla makes a big deal about their system being fully autonomous. Not the case. You're still supposed to hold on to the steering wheel. Cadillac, you don't have to. Mercedes-Benz just got certified for level 3 fully autonomous driving on the highway as well as Cadillac, and Audi is capable of doing it as well. So I think that all the features that I think you need to have for the most part on a modern car, the biggest is forward collision warning with autonomous braking. Because we've all been in that situation where we're looking down for something, your sunglasses are playing with your phone or the radio, and you look up and then it's all red lights. And you're driving down the highway and then everything's stopped and you've got to jam on the brakes. Well, the car does that for you if you're not paying attention. So that one is the number one thing for me. 2025 Toyota goal is to have only hybrids and EVs and have at least one hybrid option for each Tesla model. No, their stated goal is to have a hybrid available in every model line that they sell. So that means you know that there's a Tacoma hybrid coming. There's going to be, of course, the full-size trucks are going to already have hybrid available in Tundra. There's going to be electrification. So look at the cars they sell. Corolla already available with a hybrid. RAV4 already available with the hybrid. The Highlander already available with the with the hybrid. And then they're going to tick off all the others, and that's what they're going to do. So they will then have plug-in versions of those and then some full EV versions of those. So look at this. It's come September, we're already looking at 2023 models. So that's just a couple of years away. So that is their intended goal. Hey, Zach, thoughts on a reliable used car for a student? All-wheel drive around $15,000. Well, if you're like, I wouldn't be totally hung up on all-wheel drive because you really just need good winter tires. You can save yourself a lot of money by not buying an all-wheel drive car because there's more available options, especially in the under $15,000 range. So I would be looking at a Civic and a Corolla, and then just keep an extra $800 to $1,000 and buy really good quality winter tires. That's all you need, and that's what you should do if you're buying a first car. All-wheel drive is not necessary. But if you're looking for an all-wheel drive used, maybe a Crosstrek, but you're going to pay more for that. Hi, Zach. Expectations on Mazda's upcoming rear-wheel drive platform cars. So it has been announced that they are going to be bringing an inline-six rear-wheel drive based platform for their cars. So you've probably seen over the last few years, Mazda has a Mazda premium effect. So on the bottom end of their lineup, they compete with the other import brands, but they have this special sort of tier of premium offerings with nice interiors, turbo engines, all that kind of stuff that they have that compete with premium brands. But you got to remember, they don't have a premium offering. So Honda has Acura, Toyota has Lexus, Nissan has Infiniti, Mazda is Mazda. So they're trying to differentiate some of their products to this Mazda premium. So I can't wait to see what they come up with. They say they're going to bring back the Mazda 6 as a front engine rear drive inline 6-cylinder. I think that would be a mistake. Nobody's buying mid-sized cars. I think they should go for maybe a sportier car or an SUV like an X3 fighter. I think that would be the place they should fight, is up against a product like that. Here's Eric again. Lexus NX350H plug-in hybrid here in Quebec benefits from $8,000 provincial rebate. Definitely worth it if to circumvent the RAV4 plug-in lead times. Looking for my dad. So that's the 450H plus, not the 250. Gas price here is $2 a liter. Yeah, listen, what I would do, I would put your name down and as I said before, for either one of them, and get what you can. So what Eric's mentioning is the 450H plus is what he meant. Does not qualify for the federal rebate, the $5,000. But in the province of Quebec, they love to give people money. So you still qualify for that more expensive version. I'm not sure if you're going to get it any sooner, though. Here's my T-Bird again with another super chat. Does Toyota's electronic battery incorporate capacitors in lieu of lithium-ion batteries? I don't know. I think what are you talking about, the solid-state battery they're working on? I don't know the technical specifications of that yet because it hasn't been officially announced. And then we're going to find out what they have up their sleeve for, you know, the BZ4X or the BZ4X in the States, because we know roughly what the range is. We know roughly the size of the vehicle, but all the fine details about the car, they've kept it all secret. We don't know the size of the battery. We don't know the range of the all-wheel drive. We don't know the charging times. We don't know really even the makeup of the electronic system. So all of that has yet to be divulged, and what the battery setup is, because Toyota hasn't told us anything yet. Here's Stefan saying, BZ4X, what a stupid name. I kind of agree with that. So BZ or BZ is beyond zero. So I'm guessing you've got ID for Volkswagen, you've got EQ for Mercedes-Benz, and now you've got BZ or BZ for Toyota. So all of their electric cars will be BZ. This one's called the 4X. There might be a 3X. Who knows? So there you go. We have 400 people on board and 177 thumbs up. If you guys can smash the thumbs up today, that would be great. It certainly helps. I'm glad we got rid of the popping noise. That was a major contention for a lot of people. So, and you know what it was? I'm going to be perfectly honest for you. On my dashboard here, there's a little button that says sound effects and a mute next to it. I didn't see it. It's right in front of my face. So I hit the mute button, problem solved. Howie's asking for a wristwatch check. This is my latest acquisition. This is a Tudor Aeronaut from around 2010. So this is a Tudor GMT that was not popular. Now, if you look up Tudor Aeronaut from that era, there's one dial that's really ugly, and then there's this one that I waited 5 years for one of these to pop up for sale. And it finally showed up, and I have it. And I have one of these new Erica's straps. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of them. Erica's straps. I just got one of those too. Rudy is saying, are there, hi Zach, are those auto transmissions in Hyundai and Kia vehicles problematic? Any thought on the Elantra hybrid? As I mentioned, I haven't driven the Elantra hybrid. The transmission, haven't heard much about it. What I would do is look at a web forum or any kind of chat rooms where there's people who own the cars to find out about it. But I haven't heard anything glaring about the transmissions like we used to hear about with the CVTs from Nissan. Not hearing that, not getting that feedback. Now, of course, they have had issues over previous models with engine failures and engine fires. It seems like the newer cars, that seems to be rectified. It goes up to about 2018 or so, but that's really all I can tell you. Hi, Zach. What do you think car factories would be affected? What's your thoughts considering the political conflict in Eastern Europe? So I was speaking with Thomas from Volkswagen Canada, and he said, you got to know that the Volkswagen Group is a second or first, depend on which month you look at it, biggest car company in the world. a lot of integration in Eastern Europe. So you have to remember one of Volkswagen's biggest brands is Skoda, right? So that is an Eastern European brand, and they have a lot of factories that are all over the world. They have factories in Russia. They have production of part suppliers to feed those factories based in the Ukraine, and that's going to affect things. So we're hearing the same thing for other German brands and French brands as well. So pretty much all of the car companies now have suspended operations in Russia, because Russia is going to end up just being a place nobody's going to do business with. We're already seeing that. Apple's out. Samsung is out, Sony is out, Microsoft is out, Visa, MasterCard, American Express announced today they're out of Russia. Facebook is out, Twitter is out, TikTok is out. Major oil companies aren't buying oil from China. So Russia's going to be an island. And all of the car companies have made announcements, pretty much all of them, that they're suspending operations. Magna is a Canadian-based car part supplier, one of the biggest part suppliers in the world. They've ceased operations in Russia, and there's going to be a long time before anybody's going to go back rushing in there to do business. I'm still waiting to hear what's going to happen with Pepsi, Coke, and McDonald's, and it'll come. I think what's going to happen, there's going to be a lot of pressure from people to say, listen, why are we supporting a business that supports that regime? So all of these companies are going to be pulling out or suspending operations, and that's going to have a ripple effect. But that's what we have to do as the rest of the world, is put up with inconvenience. And to be honest, the biggest thing that we're going to have to deal with is higher prices for things. So we are going to pay more. We're already in this inflationary cycle. We already were before the war broke out. It's only going to get worse, in my opinion, because there's going to be less availability of things, energy prices going up, and then as energy prices go up, everything goes up, and that's the burden we have to pay outside of Russia and Ukraine to do our part. We are going to pay. That's what we're going to do. We're going to obviously give as much as we can to these people in terms of armaments and money and refugees and all that kind of stuff. But for the average citizen, we're all going to pay more. That's the main thing. So Canada announced, which I'm quite proud of, that we have unlimited number of Ukrainians are going to be able to come to Canada. And people might not be aware, but that the largest expat Ukrainian population outside of the Ukraine is in Canada. Western Canada was basically settled over the last 70, 80 years by a lot of Ukrainians. So a lot of the family members will be coming out of Ukraine, and I would think a lot of them will be coming here to Canada. Andy Wong, looking forward to your impressions of the Rivian. Well, we're looking forward to getting our hands on it. Ricardo with another question. Is it sold in, Zach, it is sold in Peru, a tiny 1.2 liter GDI 3-cylinder engine with 120 horsepower, and also its twin sister, the Peugeot 208. I love those little fun little engines. One engine that I drove that I thought was fantastic was the 1 liter, I did it again, 1 liter 3-cylinder Ford EcoBoost engine that was in the Fiesta. It was a great little engine. So it can be done. So now we have a 3-cylinder turbo in the Rogue, and we have a 3-cylinder turbo in the Escape. So we're going to get the Rogue soon. But I always love when you go to Europe and you drive those tiny little cars. Like we had a Fiat Punto. I think it had a 1.2 liter diesel. It was an amazing little car. All right, somebody noticed. No question. I just want to point out the new thumbnails are great. Glad you noticed. Trying to do something a little different. The comparison one that comes out on Tuesday looks really good. Would you consider a small truck, Ranger, New Frontier, upcoming Tacoma, as a family vehicle? Sure, why not? The one that I like is the Maverick. Hybrid. What's the number? 5.8 liters per 100 kilometers. A fuel economy in the city, amazing fuel economy. So yeah, if you can fit in one of those smaller vehicles, go for it. All right, I just realized I've gone over time. Oh, Jerome with another super chat. To any Ukrainians watching, welcome here to Canada. Well, yes, I think we're going to have I mean, there's over 1 million people left the country in 1 week. They're going to be spreading all over the world, and they'll be coming a lot. I think will come to Canada because, as we mentioned, there's already that Ukrainian base of people here. All right, thanks to everybody. We'll be back next Sunday, and I read all the questions, even though we don't get to them. And thanks for all the super chats. It certainly is welcome, and we'll chat with you again next week. No grilling tonight, but we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.